There is, to some extent, bigotry in regard to the treatment of the Negro. Usually, if the matter is explained to him on this basis, which I expect to do now, and I hope it'll explain a great many things to people, he'll understand the situation. The South, in the war between the states, there were 11 states left the Union, or thought they left the Union. It was a decision of the Supreme Court that they never had left the Union. 11 of those states left the Union, and about 3.5 million Negroes were freed and turned loose. And Abraham Lincoln was assassinated before he had a chance to implement the situation that he had in mind, and the freed Negroes felt that due to their emancipation and the amendments to the Constitution, which were passed in 1868, had the same rights as the white people. Well, the Southerners, having been raised in the slave time, just couldn't see it. And if the men from the North would have patience and stay out of the situation down south, they're always sticking their noses in someplace where they're not wanted and stirring up trouble. The Southerners are not bigots. They understand the situation. They know that eventually the situation will have to develop, so there is equality among the races. And when that equality comes, you'll find those Southern Negroes who came up here to New York, there's 1 million of them here, and who went to Chicago, and there's 1.5 million of them in Chicago, are now wishing they were back home for the simple reason that they've found that they don't get any better treatment from these so-called northern friends of theirs, not half as good treatment as they get down south, because the Southerner understands them. And if they'll approach this thing in a level-headed, easy manner, in the long run, the whole thing will work out as it should. The Southerners believe in equality of opportunity. They believe in equality of the political approach to the government of the United States. And they understand that the Constitution provides for just that, and that the civil rights law, which has been passed to implement that, and I got that law through the Congress after about 4 years' fight, and it has now been, to some extent, but not entirely, implemented. There's another civil rights law now in contemplation, and eventually the whole situation will be worked out. But it takes patience and understanding. And the people in New York, and Chicago, and Boston particularly can't understand the attitude of the Southerners in this matter. If they'd stayed home and tended their own business, and the niggers who've been invited to go up there and find out that they're not half as well treated as they are down south, then after a while, there won't be any difficulty with it, because I know. I come from a state, as I told you, a southern state, Missouri. It was admitted on a compromise to get into the Union. And the situation in Missouri has developed so that there is no objection whatever, as I told you, about riding in a dining car, coming to New York, where a table full of nigger women and nigger men were eating just like the rest of us, where nobody paid any attention to it. And as soon as the people get used to it, and the new generation grows up, we won't have any trouble with the subject. I'm not worried about it at all.
Sir, could you tell us about... Running out. Cut. Good. What's the